Merci d'être ici parmi nous aujourd'hui. Je suis donc ravie de modérer cette table ronde aujourd'hui qui est organisée donc par Convergence et le ministère de l'Europe et des Affaires étrangères, qui est partenaire de l'événement, et autour de nos 4 panélistes ici présents. Avant de commencer, je précise que la session est enregistrée et diffusée sur la plateforme numérique de Convergence, que les interventions se feront en français et il y a une interprétation, je crois, en anglais, mais je ne suis pas sûre. Et qu'en principe, il y a des casques à votre disposition. Oui, c'est ça. Donc, durant 1h30, nous allons explorer ensemble les nouveaux modèles de l'innovation et de partenariat qui sont destinés à répondre aux défis du développement durable et de la lutte contre la pauvreté dans un contexte qui est assez complexe et de crise mondiale provoquée par la pandémie de la Covid-19 qui a mis en évidence les défis globaux qui concernent toutes les sociétés aujourd'hui et auxquels on doit faire face, les pandémies, la dégradation de la biodiversité, l'augmentation des inégalités, de la pauvreté, ou encore l'insécurité alimentaire. Aussi, cette crise nous rappelle évidemment avec force qu'il est nécessaire de mettre en œuvre une réponse collective et appropriée et coordonnée et de long terme pour répondre à ces défis. Nous aurons un échange avec nos 4 panélistes qui ont accepté de venir partager avec nous leur expérience et des projets ambitieux et prometteurs. Et vous aurez ensuite la possibilité, à l'issue de la discussion, de poser les questions que vous souhaitez. Donc, à cette table ronde, j'ai donc le plaisir d'accueillir Juliette Séban, ici présente, qui est directrice exécutive du Fonds d'innovation pour le développement, Corinne Bruno-Meunier, qui est directrice générale déléguée de l'Institut de recherche pour le développement, Bouna Khan, qui est directeur Afrique de l'entreprise solidaire Simplon, Françoise Cosson, qui est déléguée générale de la Fondation Orange et directrice mécénat et solidarité du groupe Orange. Pour ma part, je suis responsable du pôle financement du développement, innovation et partenariat au ministère de l'Europe et des Affaires étrangères. Et nous travaillons à promouvoir les innovations de toutes sortes, technologiques, numériques, sociales, méthodologiques et financières au service du développement, d'un développement qui soit plus durable et plus inclusif. En introduction des échanges, je souhaiterais tout d'abord vous faire un point et dire un mot sur la rénovation actuelle de la politique de développement de la France, qui a franchi une étape importante cet été, avec la promulgation le 4 août dernier de la loi de programmation relative au développement solidaire et à la lutte contre les inégalités mondiales, qui a été portée par le ministre de l'Europe et des Affaires étrangères et qui a été votée définitivement à l'unanimité de l'Assemblée nationale et du Sénat en juillet. Donc ce texte remplace la précédente loi de programmation de 2014 et est l'aboutissement d'un travail mené par le ministère depuis 2018, à la fois en interministériel et avec l'ensemble des acteurs du développement. Les parlementaires, notamment le député rapporteur Hervé Berville, la société civile qui était réunie via le Conseil national du développement et la solidarité internationale, et les collectivités territoriales consultées au sein de la Commission nationale de coopération décentralisée. Ce texte vise à donner donc un nouvel élan à la politique française de développement qui est désormais reconnue comme un pilier à part entière de la politique étrangère de la France. Comment ce nouvel élan est donné? Eh bien, en dotant la France de moyens accrus pour investir dans la préservation des biens publics mondiaux, climat, biodiversité, santé, éducation, en rénovant en profondeur les modalités d'intervention de la politique de développement sur la base d'une logique partenariale et d'une responsabilité partagée avec les pays partenaires, et enfin en inscrivant cette politique dans le cadre à la fois multilatéral, l'agenda des ODD, l'agenda 2030 et les ODD, l'accord de Paris sur le climat et évidemment le programme d'action sur le financement du développement d'Addis Abeba. Et évidemment aussi dans le cadre européen. Cette loi souligne aussi l'importance qui est accordée à la promotion de l'égalité entre les femmes et les hommes dans le cadre de la diplomatie féministe du ministère et portée dans le cadre de cette loi, évidemment. Donc, parmi les principaux apports de cette nouvelle loi, en termes de moyens, La loi confirme l'engagement du président de la République d'augmenter les moyens consacrés à l'aide publique au développement à 0,55% de la richesse nationale en 2022 et pose une perspective additionnelle avec l'inscription au niveau législatif de l'objectif de 0,7% en 2025. Les moyens en dons seront centrés et concentrés sur 19 pays prioritaires qui appartiennent tous à la catégorie des pays les moins avancés et qui sont majoritairement situés en Afrique. En termes de méthode, la loi inscrit la politique de développement dans une approche partenariale renforcée. L'efficacité de cette politique résidant aussi évidemment dans la capacité de faire travailler ensemble tous les acteurs qui concourent et au-delà du seul État, à savoir les collectivités territoriales, la société civile, les acteurs privés et notamment les entreprises de l'économie sociale et solidaire et de l'entrepreneuriat social, la recherche par exemple. Si vous souhaitez aussi en savoir un peu plus sur ce projet, je vous invite à consulter le site internet du ministère où il y a tout un dossier complet et un renvoi vers le texte qui est publié au journal officiel. Donc cette approche partenariale au ministère est donc essentielle pour nous et nous la mettons en œuvre notamment à travers notre stratégie Innover Ensemble qui, autour d'un réseau de multi-acteurs dont certains sont présents ici, vise à promouvoir les nouveaux modèles de l'économie et de l'innovation sociale et inclusive à l'international afin de promouvoir et de valoriser de nombreux projets innovants à impact social et principalement en Afrique et dont Corinne Bruno-Monnier et Bouna Khan auront l'occasion de nous parler. Tout de suite, je donne donc la parole à Juliette Seban, voilà, et qui va nous parler du Fonds d'innovation pour le développement. Alors, ce nouveau dispositif financier qui a été créé suite au Conseil présidentiel pour le développement de décembre concrétise l'engagement des autorités françaises pour la modernisation de l'aide au développement et pour la modernisation de l'approche partenariale. C'est un fonds qui est doté d'un budget de 15 millions d'euros, qui est financé pour sa première année, financé par les ministères des Affaires étrangères et des Finances et qui est hébergé à l'AFD. Alors, Juliette, est-ce que tu peux nous préciser quels sont les objectifs et le fonctionnement de ce fonds qui est indépendant dans sa gouvernance et dans son fonctionnement et qui permet de financer donc des projets et des solutions innovantes au service de la lutte contre la pauvreté et les inégalités.
Avec plaisir. Bonjour tout le monde, merci Claire pour l'invitation et l'introduction. Donc je vais utiliser ça normalement si ça fonctionne, tout va bien. Donc peut-être avant de vous dire un mot sur les objectifs du FID et son fonctionnement, tu t'en as parlé sur sa création. Donc le FID est tout récent, il a été créé en décembre 2020. Il est donc financé par le MAE et le Trésor. Il est hébergé par l'Agence française de développement, mais il est indépendant dans l'octroi des subventions. Et il est notamment régi par un conseil de direction qui est présidé par l'économiste du développement Esther Duflo. Et donc vous verrez que pas mal de ses travaux ont aussi inspiré la philosophie derrière les critères du fonds, la sélection des projets. Donc, pourquoi un fonds d'innovation? Donc, le FID a pour ambition de soutenir l'émergence de solutions innovantes aux problématiques de développement en s'appuyant sur l'évaluation scientifique et l'expérimentation. Le FID a vocation à apporter de nouvelles solutions de financement. On pourra discuter de complémentarité un peu plus tard dans les échanges si vous voulez. Le mandat du FID est vraiment de répondre aux défis de la lutte contre la pauvreté et les inégalités et à l'innovation au service des politiques publiques pour transformer les politiques publiques de développement. Donc à chaque fois qu'on évalue les projets qu'on reçoit, c'est au prisme de ce mandat. On a un lien très étroit avec la recherche, donc je viens de dire avec la présidence d'Esther Duflo, l'objectif du fonds est un peu dans la logique partenariale dont Claire a parlé, est vraiment de faire dialoguer les mondes de l'innovation et les mondes de la recherche pour valider rigoureusement le potentiel d'impact des projets qu'on finance. Donc consolider des équipes innovantes par des expertises scientifiques sur les questions d'évaluation d'impact. Sur le type de financement, on est donc 100% subvention. On propose des concours entre 50 000 € et 4 millions d'euros en fonction du niveau de développement de la solution qui est proposée. Donc il y a des paliers de subvention, de financement que je vous présenterai qui sont successifs aux étapes clés du parcours de développement des solutions innovantes, donc du pilote au passage à l'échelle généralisée. Donc, le FID offre des subventions aux innovateurs et aux chercheurs pour expérimenter, prendre des risques stratégiques et démontrer l'impact des solutions visant à réduire la pauvreté et les inégalités. Pour vous en dire un peu plus sur l'éligibilité et la façon dont on sélectionne les projets, donc le FID reçoit des candidatures via un appel à projets qui est ouvert tout au long de l'année. On évalue les candidatures au fil de l'eau. Et les critères d'éligibilité sont très larges d'une certaine façon puisqu'on est ouvert à tout type d'innovation. Donc on en reparlera peut-être, mais on a une définition très large de l'innovation qui consiste à financer toute solution inédite dans un contexte donné qui apporte une amélioration par rapport à l'existant, que ce soit une amélioration en termes de processus, de coûts, de faisabilité dans la lutte contre la pauvreté et les inégalités. Donc on est ouvert à tout type d'innovation relevant de tout secteur. Et toutes les structures sont éligibles, alors sauf les banques internationales de développement ou les institutions du système onusien, mais sinon que ce soit des entreprises privées, des organisations non gouvernementales, des universités, des instituts de recherche, toutes ces institutions, peu importe leur localisation, peuvent candidater à un financement au FID. Et j'ai mis ici secteurs et pays prioritaires de l'aide française au développement. On donne la priorité parmi les secteurs et les pays concernés aux 19 pays que mentionnait Claire. Et sur les secteurs prioritaires de l'aide publique au développement, c'est santé, éducation, question d'égalité femmes-hommes et changement climatique. Les critères de sélection des projets sont les suivants. Ils sont au nombre de 3, donc je ne vais pas développer beaucoup dans le détail ici, mais c'est évidemment essentiel sur la façon dont on choisit ensuite les projets et je serais ravie de répondre aux questions s'il y en a. Donc le premier critère, c'est la preuve rigoureuse de l'impact. Donc c'est vraiment la philosophie du fonds. Évidemment, on regarde ce critère différemment en fonction de si le projet est tout récent, c'est un pilote, et donc ou est-ce que c'est déjà un projet très mature qui peut déjà être évalué rigoureusement. Donc soit si c'est les premiers stades, on va dire, de financement, on regarde s'il y a déjà une réflexion autour de la théorie du changement, la façon dont on imagine les mécanismes d'impact de ce projet. Et si c'est un projet plus avancé et qu'on est notamment dans un passage à l'échelle, il faut déjà qu'il y ait eu des preuves de l'impact du projet qui puissent être présentées. Le deuxième critère, c'est le rapport coût-efficacité de l'innovation. Donc les porteurs de projets doivent là aussi démontrer que leur innovation doit avoir soit un plus grand impact que les solutions alternatives pour un coût équivalent, ou en tout cas qu'il y ait une réflexion autour, non pas du coût par bénéficiaire ou de la rentabilité du projet, hein, c'est pas du tout ça, mais c'est de mettre en regard les aspects coût de l'innovation et impact qu'elle peut avoir sur les bénéficiaires. Et donc le dernier critère, c'est le potentiel de mise à l'échelle, d'adoption généralisée et de durabilité. Donc on s'intéresse d'emblée à des solutions qui ont vocation à toucher un grand nombre de personnes. Et donc ça, c'est en lien avec l'objectif dont je parlais au démarrage, de transformer les politiques publiques. Donc on cherche vraiment à financer des projets qui peuvent à terme, évidemment pas dans leur premier niveau de développement, mais toucher un grand nombre de personnes. Donc les normes pour chacun des critères, ils varient en fonction des étapes de financement, et puis je vous montrerai les stades rapidement. Et on a un processus de revue qui se veut à la fois rapide, donc on essaye de répondre rapidement aux équipes qui nous contactent pour candidater au fonds, et à la fois qualitatif. Il y a beaucoup de personnes qui sont impliquées dans la revue de nos projets, soit avec des expertises techniques, soit des chercheurs s'il y a une dimension recherche dans le processus de revue. Pour que ce soit peut-être plus concret, je vous montre les différents stades de financement du fonds. Donc le Fonds d'innovation pour le développement propose des financements flexibles via 5 paliers de subventions aux étapes clés du parcours de développement des solutions innovantes. Donc pour celles et ceux parmi vous qui sont peut-être plus familiers des fonds d'innovation, les stades 1, 2 et 3 sont assez classiques, sont plutôt standards. Donc le stade 1 qui finance des phases pilotes, donc pour des projets qui ont déjà passé ce qu'on peut appeler la phase de prototypage, enfin qui sont prêts à être expérimentés dans des conditions réelles. Le stade 2, c'est le test. Donc voilà, on a fait un pilote et maintenant on peut évaluer l'impact du projet. Donc c'est au stade 2 qu'on financerait des projets de recherche et des évaluations d'impact. Et le stade 3 finance la transition de solutions qui ont été évaluées pour un premier passage à l'échelle. Donc 1, 2, 3 sont assez standards. Ce que le FID apporte de vraiment nouveau par rapport aux autres types de fonds, c'est le stade 0. Donc le stade 0, c'est pour les projets.
Stage 0, so stage 0 is a starting point for projects that are starting. So the beginning of projects for promising applications in order to build up a team. So this is the prep stage which we try to prioritize the 19 countries that can be subject to the French support, and the stage for political support for the governments and public actors, and the purpose is to fund the institutionalization of specific plans, and when it comes to innovation, if there's a need for specific support, and also designing, experimenting innovations that are rigorously assessed.
You can put your headset on and you will have the translation. Very sorry for the disagreement.
We can repeat in English after if you want.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Yes, a very last slide that I want to tell you about. So, we're a small team, and a big part of the team is sitting with us. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask them. Difficult for us to answer all the questions, to talk about a specific project, so we would try not to. However, we have Q&A sessions that are more collective, so to speak. If you want to apply to the FIV, and if you have questions, the criteria, on the configuration, the next Q&A session is organized on the 16th of September at 12. And if you can't attend this session, or you can reach us through this email address, contact@fundinnovation.dev. And otherwise, we'll contact you for the next Q&A session after the 16th of September. So I will strongly suggest that you visit the FIV website and to reach the partners and to relay this information to your partners so they can apply to this program. And you will also have the information for all of you to understand how this funding operates. Corinne, she represents a research institute which is settled in African countries, mainly dedicated to SDGs and so on. Actor RRD with the entrepreneurship actors, and also if you could present to us these methods, these new collaborative methods. Thank you, and hi everyone. I'm very pleased to be with you on the occasion of this World Forum, and thank you for inviting the RRD, the Institute for Research and Development. The headquarters is in Marseille, And you know that tomorrow in Marseille, the big Congress of IUCN is going to open. It's a big Congress, a key Congress on diversity. And we've been working with the actors on this innovating project. So the IRD is a very old institute. It celebrated the 75th anniversary recently. And the seniors here know that the IRD used to be called the Storm a few decades ago. And the IRD has an innovation capacity. For a long time, the IRD had department services in charge of valuation of research, because beyond the researching works of the researchers at the IRD, it was important for these researchers to change into products, into processes that would be truly innovating and in phase with the needs related to sustainable development of the countries in which the IRD is working, is acting. That's the case in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, in Australia and the surrounding islands, and anyway, in most of the countries in the tropical, intertropical and Mediterranean regions. And this innovating approach that we have at the IRD is developing more and more on a daily basis. We keep improving. We still have improvement to do, but we do improve because we do have the feeling that in harmony with the law that has been mentioned, we want to work with all the components of the private sector, but not only because in some of the countries where we are, there are groups of citizens who want to work with researchers. And indeed, this is important and requires from our teams, who are not very big yet, but it requires from our team to be very careful. So beyond this, we also have representations in the different countries, representation of the IRD, represented constantly in 38 countries, including in overseas countries. And we've designed tools there, and that's what I will tell you about now. So since 2017, we would like to thank the different ministries supporting us, the Foreign Ministry and the Ministry of Higher Studies, Ministry of Research and Innovation, and also Higher Studies. And with these two ministries, we've developed this methodology, which is based on IRD, but also two associations called Make Sense and Bondinov. And in the context of priority funding, so the collab is a multi-act, multi-stake. It's the purpose is to have sustainable, innovating solutions. I'm a diplomat, and I've been working for a few years for the IRD now. But when I looked into the collab, I didn't understand in the first place because there are different levels there. Now it's all clear to me. But beyond what I explained to you in quite an academic way, if I may, we'll want to know that all these talents on the field, on the ground, all these actors, either in the city or in the countryside, who are familiar with other actors from the civil society, from the corporate, from the companies. The purpose was to find solutions, but they didn't know. They wanted to find solutions, but they didn't know how to. So, of course, we can speak with different people, but then we would need a method to achieve what we want to do. And we have to base on 4 pillars. First, connecting. Second, collaborating, learn. And fourth, finding institutions that will support the projects, because we want to go to the end to fully complete this project. So all this would meet needs. Because in the countries who've been acting, in the partner countries, helping us finding solutions, well, can feel this necessity to have a collective response. The top-down is not trendy anymore, is not valid anymore. Now we want to find grassroots level solutions with a common governance, with an idea, some knowledge or some insight of what is the common interest with the specific needs coming up, but also the implementation of means to share knowledge. So the Ecolab would meet the SDG 17. It's a partner for the implementation of the objective, the achievement of the objectives, and also in order to support the projects of these actors, communities. And this will be a way to achieve other SDGs. Example, the collab of related to health of mothers and children. It's beyond the SDG 17. It's a health, well-being, and quality education. So with the Foreign Ministry, we try to tick the different boxes related to this topic. So this unfolds like so. There's a one-year program that starts with a prefiguration, a mapping of the different actors, the NGOs, the associations, from the private and public sector, the research, civil society, opinion leaders, authorities, and so on. Well, to have a mapping of the local ecosystem, and then we'll be able to base ourselves on that to implement, to complete the project, and then connecting the different actors identified and co-build the project. This co-building concept is key in the RRD DNA. And then there will be a call for bid, a call for projects that will be a way for us to select multi-stake, multi-actors projects, the most promising projects. And then once they've been selected, for over 6 months, these selected projects will be entering a coaching phase, and it's very important to support them in the development of high-impact solutions, but also the strengthening of their collaboration. And then an acceleration phase has been added to all this on the occasion of the second edition of the Collab Health of Mothers and Children, in order to benefit from a strengthened follow-up and an additional budget. So the purpose is to optimize the impact of this project. So I would like to tell you more about this matter related to impact. IRD is in the first place a research institute, and researchers are always seeing things at a longer term than the duration of these projects. So for these researchers, it's also about trying to be more quickly in the way to bring in their expertise into these projects, because you can see that today it's urgent. There's an urgence related to climate, to diversity, and we'll be talking about that for 10 days in Marseille, but there's also a social, economic urgency. And it's very important to act quickly, and that's what we try to do with the collab. Now, there will be a testimony that will broadcast in the room, maybe later, just to show to you that the collab went beyond the first stage. It's been so the collab is deployed in 5 countries of Western Africa on health, food security, health of mother and children. And it's deployed in 4 countries, Mali, Niger, amongst other countries. Morocco, there is a collab on the sustainable management of Arganier. In Tunisia, a collab that will start in September on a wider scale to support things, the most sustainable management of water resources. And a collab is envisaged in the Caribbean Islands and Pacific on fighting climate change. And now I suggest that we watch the video now, this testimony I talked about, I mentioned. There will be no translation for that.
L'STM en affectation locale au Sénégal au laboratoire commun de microbiologie. Je suis également ambassadrice Collab et je représente aujourd'hui le projet Diadème lauréat Collab 2019. Pour une histoire, en tant que chercheur, nous travaillons depuis de nombreuses années sur une pratique agroécologique d'inoculation des plantes avec des micro-organismes symbiotiques. Nous avons pu mener la recherche au champ en partenariat avec des producteurs. L'ambition étant de passer à l'échelle de diffusion de la pratique de l'inoculation, mais nous avons rencontré des obstacles, notamment par manque de visibilité, par manque de temps et par manque de moyens humains et techniques. Le collab est arrivé à bon moment car il nous inspirait bien, car il visait à construire ensemble une innovation responsable à travers de la collaboration multi-acteurs. Nous sommes adressés au collab et dans la phase d'émergence, nous avons pu bénéficier de différentes rencontres à travers des ateliers multi-acteurs et donc présenter le projet aux ONG, au secteur privé, exposer notre idée et d'identifier le blocage. Et le blocage qui a été identifié, c'était en fait le manque d'expérimentation pour passer à l'échelle de diffusion. C'est comme ça qu'est né notre projet, le dispositif d'accompagnement à distance d'expérimentation au champ Diadème. Aujourd'hui, nous intervenons dans 14 communes au Sénégal. Donc, ce que la méthodologie Collab nous a apporté, tout d'abord, dans la phase d'émergence, c'est de pouvoir bénéficier du cadre de partage de réflexion, de se mobiliser autour d'un enjeu et partager avec différents secteurs de la société civile. Ensuite, de pouvoir définir un cadre de collaboration multi-acteurs et en fait d'amorcer le projet. Dans la phase d'accompagnement, nous avons pu bénéficier de la formation, du suivi rapproché, des conseils et ce qui a forgé le projet et a pu stimuler le bon développement du projet. En tant que chercheur, je peux témoigner que la méthodologie Collab est à conseiller parce qu'en fait, Collab, c'est un catalyseur d'idées, de rencontres, de mise en œuvre, d'actions. Le chercheur a l'opportunité de présenter ses projets et de les positionner par rapport aux attentes de la société. Ensuite, le chercheur a l'opportunité d'identifier collectivement avec les acteurs comment valoriser ces recherches et puis construire ensemble avec les bénéficiaires en s'inscrivant dans le processus de la recherche de durabilité, de savoir si notre projet est percutant et pertinent. Donc aujourd'hui, grâce à cette dynamique Collab, notre projet est lauréat du prix Convergence 2021 et il est en train d'être déployé dans la sous-région, notamment au Burkina Faso et en Côte d'Ivoire, et bénéficier de financements extérieurs. Je voudrais bien saisir cette opportunité pour remercier les équipes Collab et Prix Convergence de nous avoir donné cette belle opportunité de présenter notre projet. Et je vous remercie de votre attention.
Voilà, donc ce témoignage.
Well, this testimony, which is very encouraging for all the actors of Collab, including the RRD, and the word funding was mentioned. Clearly, it's also to have the local funders becoming interested into these projects, to multiply these projects, because we want a model effect, so to speak, a model of these projects in such a way that it's possible to disseminate a bit everywhere this methodology, because today the big institutions of development are on big work sites, so to speak, on big projects, and the difficulty is for these institutions to dedicate their teams to projects that are smaller size or small sizes or small size, and these institutions would delegate to their partners, associations, NGOs, citizens, the implementation of these small projects. But still, funds are necessary for these small projects. And these kind of methodologies are a way to demonstrate to all the actors, especially those in funding the development. It's a way to demonstrate to them that it's possible to also support financially these small projects. There's also another tool that I will tell you about, namely the tool Tech for Sahel. It's a tool which aims at creating sustainable, visible perspectives for the Sahel youth. It's about digital, it's about boosting entrepreneurship and collective cleverness, so to speak, in order to leverage the local capacities. So it's a transformation training related to digital professions and awareness-raising workshops and what we call Tech for Good. It's a community that we call Tech for Good. And this is a tool which is deployed in Burkina Faso, in Niger, Mali. And the purpose of all that is to develop this digital ecosystem, because we all strongly believe with our partners and in the south and in the north that the mastering of this digital environment is fundamental for everyone, especially for the populations in the different countries because we know that farmers in these countries also have access to digital tools. Thanks to their mobile phones, they have access to apps that will enable them to manage their crops, their farming. So there's no limit when it comes to the ownership of these tools. Now, some advertisement for the IRD, if I may. IRD has structuring programs in the framework of their research activities, namely international mixed labs with the young teams, international associated to that, the international development researches, and so on. And in these very labs, working on heavy researches, so to speak, when it comes to health, environment, ocean, water, and so on, soil studies, and so on. We try as much as possible to manage for the researchers working on these topics to add to join in, to use these innovation tools. And the IRD, which is the case also of other actors, not only when it comes to research and development, we also work on impacts. It's very important to say so. Why? Well, because we, public institutions, we are accountable for results. And we work more and more on this area, and nowadays, the IRD would do so in a more and more visible way around what we call science of sustainability. Sustainability science is a science, but also it aims at working in interdisciplinarity, different topics, with researchers that will work on sustainable solutions, on SDGs, but also different nexuses of sustainable developments. And the RRD has been doing so, and researchers do so. But it's a way to have researchers go outside from their labs to go and meet decision makers, local decision makers, civil society decision makers, to make their experience, their competencies available for these solutions. And sustainability science is a very powerful tool. Nowadays, there's a number of researchers working together, ethnographs, colleagues working on migrations, colleagues working on tectonic on earthquakes, on volcanoes, because all this is related, and I can tell you indeed that all this is related to health, and the RRD has been present when it comes to fighting the current pandemic. And with other actors, we try and develop answers, responses to other pandemics. As a conclusion, the multi-state program to the multi-actors programs to which the RRD implement and take part to align with the French priorities. We mentioned the digital, but also the many others. And also we work on communication, valuation of these programs, because enhancement of these programs, because it's not only about working together, but also widening our good word, so to speak, to the international level. And during the Assises Internationales of the AUF, which will be taking place in Bucharest soon, the Congress on French-speaking science, and the multi-actor program was accepted, so we are going to present these solutions. We've also taken part to the network for research on innovation, but also white papers with our partners, white papers that are being finalized, because indeed, and again, it's about participating along with our partners in the South when it comes to the funding of these solutions. I will stop here. Thank you.
On voit tout.
Thank you very much, Corinne. We can see the meaning of research in order to identify solutions for development for the concerned partners. I would add, we were also wishing to find some synergies between the projects with the deck for sale, and which are being studied in the common countries to those projects, and especially in Niger. I'm going to give the floor to Bouna Khan, who's the Director of Africa for Simplo.co. Bouna, could you explain us, according to you, digitalization could be favorable to innovation in this, in the partnerships, especially in the Sahel countries, and this network of digital school within this multiplayer approach towards women and the young. Thank you, Claire. Good morning to all. Thank you, Claire, for this invitation. It's always a pleasure to come and share our experiences on the ground. 2 words on Simplon.co. Simplon.co, for those of you who don't know it, we're a network of schools. In our jargon, we call them social factories for integration. It's a foundation created in 2013, much younger than the IRD. We work very well in Africa. Today, we have 200 schools in the world, present in 90 countries. Since 2013, we've trained almost 1,000 people with a job insertion rate, which is our KPI as well. 90% of insertion of people who found a job after our training sessions. And in Africa, paradoxically, we have reached 92% of the insertion, in spite of the low economic tissue. And we're present in Africa since 2015. We've got a hub in Senegal, which I am directing, and which cover the whole African continent with our partners such as Orange, the Société Générale Foundation, and other ministries. We've got 3 regional offices in Africa. Strategically, we chose to hire staff with social impact in Senegal, Burkina Faso, and Côte d'Ivoire. And this story has started with the French Foreign Office, since in Côte d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso, the French Foreign Office has helped us start, which has helped us to scale up. In the rest of Africa, not presently installed. We've got a partnership with Orange. Our common story has started here today. If we reach the results we have today, Orange has funded our projects in Paris 20, and with all the remaining foundations which done us able to suggest some training sessions for the youth. I'm used to quote these figures. When we started with Orange in 2017, we received 14,400 applications for 15 slots. So since with the president of Simplo says that the need lies in Africa, not in France. So today we have like 15 schools in Africa. As I was saying, the process is rather simple. We've got 30 references, so we don't apply automatically the references. We do some market studies. We assess needs from companies in Africa before suggesting trainings, because the end goal is not only to train people, is to help people find a job afterwards. We call that the positive exit, which can go through entrepreneurship or being hired by a private company or some more studies. Today, we mainly act beyond the partners I've quoted. We work together with governments within strategic plans, and the idea is to have an impact along the whole value chain, focusing on the women, because it's a struggle to work favoring women, because it's difficult to get women to be hired. So for jobs considered like male jobs, so we set up a specific path for women to train them, and so that they are able to get our professional training sessions. We've carried out all those programs in all the countries where we operate. And our satisfaction is that in Senegal we've organized our first gender equal factory. So there is a deficit of communication and information on this. We also work with the young. We started with Orange, Super Coder. It's a plan for kids, but we want to work upstream. We don't want to wait the adult to be needing a training session. We start from the early life on digitalization, that it can impact on professional job orientation. We work on with the handicapped, with the refugees in all countries where we operate. We try to address some specific problems. For instance, in Senegal, we train imprisoned women with LACHA. We have a program in Burkina Faso with the International Agency for Francophone Countries. We work with the HCR, the United Nations Committee for Refugees. Between digitalization, entrepreneurship, and innovation, we live this every day, because the heart of our job is training, basic training of job-searching people, and knowing that the job-searching people in Africa are young with diploma who can't find a job. They want to find a job. They want to maximize their chances there. We train people to work in companies, and we also have Agency for Solidarity supporting NGOs to help digitalize. On these three pillars, we really live day by day of innovation, digitalization, and entrepreneurship. When they come to us, very often we assess their professional needs before giving them a training session, but themselves, during their training sessions, they say, I don't want to be hired by a company anymore, I want to become an entrepreneur. In the area of infography, they become aware they can get some skills and can work on their own as auto-entrepreneurs. When we speak of women, it's very impressive, because very often we hire for training sessions, we hire women for about women entrepreneurship. For instance, women selling sandals, handmade sandals, but which who sell on the street or through the word of mouth. But when we have those women with digital competencies, they start on Instagram, and they start sites to show their products. I think they're already champions of innovation. When you suggest when you were on the street and you offer you a training session where you can sell your products on Facebook and Instagram, you think you've reached the top-notch level. The same approach with the staff we train. People who believe in entrepreneurship, they send us their staff and we train them on digitalization. And the companies who send us their staff are convinced that it has an added value for innovation and for the research and development within their companies. On the third pillar, when I see the link between digitalization and innovation, it's our Agency for Solidarity, which support NGOs which have no means to invest in digitalization and who resist to change. You can noticeably see that by supporting those associations and NGOs, first of all, it enables us to drive their project with higher efficiency, sparing time and more efficiently, and afterwards in their functioning, we help organizations to have an information system, data system, and how innovative it is and how it spares them time by mastering those digital tools. That's what I had to say on those issues. I'm available for questions on what we are doing in Africa. Thank you very much, Buna. Thank you. We see the link between entrepreneurship, research, higher education, and the support to both job orientation of women and the young, and the implementation of the SDGs, and the support of SIL countries in the digitalization. Now I go to you, Françoise Cosson. There is a slight glitch. You're General Delegate for the Orange Group, and you're speaking of the involvement of your group in the actions for now 30 years for the economic insertion of the young. Which are the projects you have implemented, and what is the balance you can draw on your projects? Thank you, Claire, and good morning to all. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really pleased to be with us today. We still learn, so it's very enlightening, your testimonies and your introductions. A few words about the Orange Foundation. We've been existing for 30 years, and we support projects which give access to education, culture, and health, and to the improvement of the livelihoods in countries where the Orange Group operates, which represents 30 countries nowadays. We've got some flagship programs in those countries, which are for our targets beneficiary, women and the young, away from jobs. To quote a few flagship programs that I won't go into details, but can you find them on our site? The digital houses, it's a program for women. We've got 350 in 23 countries, so it's a place of social insertion, offering training sessions through digitalization. We were speaking about that with Samplon, to have access to their rights to enroll in family insurance from the state. And it goes to funding of micro companies, notably in Africa. We've got Association of Women with Companies for Kavasa, for transformation of like in Europe, in Romania, Poland, and Slovakia. So one of our flagship programs. We've got also factories for solidarity, training the young, dealing with iron products, and learning how to use a 3D printing machine. I like to speak about education and the programs we've rolled out. The first one I like to quote is the digital school. It's really a project which started as an innovative program, a pilot program. That's how we see things at Orange. We experiment things and we try to deploy them in all the countries where we operate, and we try to scale up with governments and partners with which we gather. We have 1,000 digital schools across 19 African countries. The principle of a digital school is a kit with iPads, a small offline server where we plug educational and content, and we work with the Ministry of Education in each African country. And then we'll offer mediation to help primary school teachers and support them in their daily life. In order to understand this, we are now listening to Ibrahim's testimony through a short video.
Dans les classes, les autres qui sont là-bas, qui n'ont pas bien l'expérience. Pour que si je connais, lui ne pas connaît, je peux te montrer c'est comme ça, rentre c'est ici, tous ici c'est comme ça. Appuie sur A. Si la tablette est dans la classe, je peux lire, je peux parler, je peux comprendre. Je m'appelle Ibrahim Bardé, voici mon histoire.
Voilà, alors des écoles comme celle.
This is it. I've got 1,000 schools like that across the African continent. It's very impactful since we see people do come regularly to school, and learning is easier. And there is a pride from both the teachers and the pupils to be able to use those tablets and to access those contents. Partnerships with the ministries. We're trying to develop those schools ever more in rural areas. We also have partners with content publishers. We launched a tender to enrich content on small servers. We've got some school content, but also recreational in order to enrich and open the scope of implementation. This kind of experiences, we also have it in Romania with Digitale Data. We've launched 3 years ago. Today, the Ministry of Education in Romania is our partner and has certified the training sessions we are offering to the schools, and is thinking of broadening this on to all the country. To the whole country. In education, we work with Orange Digital Centers that we implement in all the countries where our group operates. We have a partnership with Simplon.com. An Orange Digital Center is a place of inclusion and digital education, only for the foundation. We'll have a school for code. One of the training session is for entrepreneurship to help a startup grow and support very innovative projects. We already have 6 centers in the countries where we operate. Our goal is to reach 30 by 2025. Our partnerships are very useful and enable us to speed up the implementation. About health, we have in Africa villages which help us to reach the basic things, water, health center, and a school. We've got 100 villages in 11 countries across Africa, and those villages, we bring the funding for the building, for the implementation, but the working, their life is commonly managed with the villages and the ministries of education, which fund the teachers and the Ministry of Health, who are going to appoint health center directors and health staff. So once again, really indispensable collaboration without which we cannot put those institutions to work. So together with these local institutions and ministries, we only work with partners within our partnership. So we fund, but we don't operate. So we have associations, NGOs, other foundations. We manage a village with Suez and Bell on health and nutrition. We believe a lot in this because we speed up the impact and the implementation of those villages, and now we are working at the Velodrome football pitch with the Drogba Foundation with a football match to fund a village and to fund some kits for a school in Côte d'Ivoire. This is our daily life, to find some partnerships and discuss in order to speed up all programs. A very rich introduction. Thank you to all four. To show the meaningfulness to work together, public and private. A second round, very briefly, to quote a few specificities of your program. So we've quoted a series of examples of multiplayer public partners and ERD with the FSP Fund for innovative programs, with the funding of the favorite funding method of the French Foreign Office. There are some other tools of the French public health. Juliette, could you, about those funding tools for France, what is the added value of this new fund, the FID, the fund, and how does it position itself within the whole system? In 2 minutes, okay. With great pleasure. The Innovation Fund for Development is a funding tool, a complementary funding tool. We've seen it. There are lots of different tools. The idea is not to replace what is already existing, but to meet needs that are not covered by other funding tools. The particularities of this innovation funds is for small amounts. When we speak of subsidies for preparation until 50,000 euros, or for projects up to 200,000 euros for these small amounts for given projects, we associate to risk-taking for associations which are still not mature, or players which are still not used to apply for more classical funds. So there is this aspect of risk-taking in small amounts, and a very strong link with research, which has been mentioned by the IRD. We, as a prerequisite to scale up, we need a previous assessment, and this is very specific to our fund. What we call impact assessment is to be able to prove the most rigorously possible that without having access to a given innovation or program, the situation of people on the ground which have been less good, and what we call rigorous, because it implies if it must be done consciously, we need a comparison group or which doesn't have access to those tools. So this is how we assess impact. There are many other ways to assess things which are complementary, but from our approach on the several steps towards funding, there is this milestone of assessment. We have a strong link with public policies. We need projects that can scale up, and there is this subsidy for the transformation of public policies. and something we're trying to contribute. We want this is a light implementation tool, so association can apply. That we've got a platform on our website. You can apply any time in the year, and within 2 months we give you a first answer according to our criteria. We can answer saying no, we can't fund you, or giving some motives. Otherwise, we can start talking with the review group, but it happens within 2 months, so we can support innovations needing funding within months. So about the development ecosystem, the model of our Innovation Fund for Development inspires itself from the US aid or GIF, the British aid, if you know those funding mechanisms, which have remained a little accessible to the francophone world, with British NGO in the English-speaking were favoring those organizations.
Thank you very much, Juliette, for this very useful information. Corinne, as a public operator, the RRD has contributed to the reflection on the new ministry document related to aiming at reinforcing, strengthening the relationship between the governments and the organizations in favor to the development, especially the SDGs. So how does the IRD works with these actors with a high capacity of innovation, especially in the Mediterranean area? Thank you very much for this question. I would like to speak about, to insist on a specific definition. Operator. We, the RRD, are qualified as being operators by ministries, and we accept that because we are operators when it comes to implementing public policies, French side, especially when it comes to innovation, for instance, and also we are a technical and scientific establishment. And this word establishment refers to a researchers community, but also a community that the RRD has developed, has built up with other establishments, public establishments in the world. So it's very interesting, and the RRD agrees with these two kinds of qualifications. So we've contributed to the drafting of this new ministerial strategy from the window that we have. Of course, there are several actors, but why so? Why do you agree? Well, because I would like to come back to a few elements of the DNA of the IRD. First, the IRD is an EPST, so to speak. It works in an equitable, fair, scientific partnership in the South. And it's very important because it refers to a number of very specific elements. We are very careful that our sustainable solutions are properly implemented through our researches. And I have in mind the protocol of Nagoya. So indeed, it's fair sharing. And also, we are in co-building with our partners, and these these partners are in the South. There are ministries of research, amongst other things, and with social partners as well. And with these partners in the South, miscellaneous partners, we work also with the foundations, with organizations. And this work with foundations was recently extended because in the IRD we have a development pool working more and more with a number of funders, donators. So funders, donators will, based on what I heard with the Orange Foundation, there's For these foundations, we've developed that in becoming member of the associated members of the CFFF. This French Center for Funds and Foundations, it's a very important platform for us because it's a better way for us to locate ourselves in all this world of foundations, so to speak, and also there are meetings, conferences organized on science and philanthropy. But a foundation with BNP Paribas, this bank, this French bank, we've developed 4 projects with on climate and initiative. We've also developed a partnership with the Crossroads, the French Red Cross, and also we've developed projects related to health, such as Mérieux, Lab, Pasteur. Obviously, Pasteur is not a foundation, but Mérieux has its own foundation, and obviously it's given the period we're experiencing, which we're living with. These are actors with whom we work more and more. So these are partners, but there are other partners as well, and I can answer you other questions when it comes to more specific apps, applications, places where we're working with these foundations. But these partnerships will develop even more because the foundations will develop more and more, and the R&D is happy to contribute to that. Thank you very much, Corinne. Now, when it comes to the operation of this strategy, the application of this strategy, the implementation of this strategy. So, Buna, we talked about the technical expertise, the social insertion of integration of the learners. So, what is the impact of the project that you're working on with the future, the citizens to be that are your learners? When it comes to the social impact, as a reminder, our target are the young people in a difficult situation and an insertion stage or integration, social integration stage. So we are not only in Dakar, but also in the suburb of Dakar. Beyond this social impact that we are looking for, namely the professional insertion, we don't have the potential to change people, but rather to contribute to their transformation. In parallel to technical transformation, and our experience tells us that the young people currently lack soft skills because they manage, but when it comes to becoming integrated into a company, working there, or how not to be fired in a company because of a wrong behavior, and the Francophonia, the AUP contributes to that. So beyond this social impact directly related to professional insertion, we try to assess the economic impact, because it's very important. When a young person comes to us saying, well, I graduated 1 year ago, I have a master in sociology and I've been doing nothing since. So in 7 months he will be trained, he would find a job, and he will earn his a wage. And that's why nowadays we try to figure out what is the economic impact after training a young person whom in 7 months swifts from the situation of being unemployed to being employed of a big company. And also we develop a citizenship because our training sessions are free thanks to the donors, the funders. It's totally free. But also we expect from the young people to do some give back, not to refund the training, but rather to in turn go and train women in jails or children So we try to do an awareness-raising campaign amongst the young people to explain to them, to let them know that wage is not enough, but something else is necessary. It's in relation with this SDG. That's why we've been working in collaboration with the RRD in these different countries. And also this work done by the MAE with the multi-actors. It's very, very important, and we are part of that. So when in Sahel we work with Simplon, IRD, and so on, we are impacting all the value chain of value. And makes sense. IRD, Simplon is in charge of training, and we're designing a degree related to data. So the researchers will be trained on data management, because we have a data repository, and we also have Make Sense that is more dedicated to entrepreneurship. So multi-actor entrepreneurship is twice beneficial, because it's a way to reassure those who will benefit from it, but also those who will support financially these projects. And when they see consortia that are strong, they feel more reassured, especially when we demonstrate to them that all the chain of value is impacted, and that each and every multi-stakeholder covers the things, the different projects related to their more expertise, and at the same time showing to them which is the red thread pertaining to all these projects. Thank you very much. I will give the floor to Françoise Cosson, so she can tell us about the current context related to the health crisis. So you're part of a foundation of entrepreneurs that act at an international level. It's also when it comes to the management of this health-related crisis. So can you tell us more about the actions that you've implemented? Yes. First, we've been working alongside with our partners, namely the different organizations, the different associations, the structures and also those who benefit from these structures in offering online training sessions, online trainings, tablets, devices, and so on. Because we know that when we are related with those who benefit, the beneficiaries, it's very difficult later to have them back into this structure. So it was very important to act urgently. And then over time, it was possible to put in place training sessions remotely, and to provide tablets to those who needed one to take part to these trainings. So we were able to have a budget to support the health crisis. 11 million euros that we've engaged in 25 countries under different forms. In Africa, for instance, we sent a huge amount of health kits with masks, gel, overalls. Also, we sent money to work on specific programs with each health ministry, depending on the local specificities, mother and children deaths, amongst other issues. And in France, we donated money for organizations such as the Red Cross, the French hospitals, and also we've supported poor students, because we've realized that given the crisis, some of them became very, very poor. So we offered to them connection kits, food aid for them to be able to have food. And recently, before the summer, we sent money to accelerate vaccination in African countries. So you see a number of engagements. Also, when it comes to culture, we've kept supporting structures, especially festivals, fairs. We've funded the Édition Blanche, white editions, to relaunch different festivals. And the good news is that last summer, these people were able to relaunch these festivals, and it's good, Even in difficult situations, we have to help them. We have to support them, and we were on their side despite even in this health crisis. So we can see the public-private partnership, and also the innovation capacity and the reactivity of the different foundations in this crisis period, especially when it comes to health, education, culture, as you said. So we only have 10 minutes left before the end of this session. So please don't hesitate, should you have any questions, specific questions to ask to the members of the panel, you're most welcome to do so. Ask a question. Please don't hesitate to ask a question or to make comments. There's a microphone. So please don't hesitate to take the floor. Hi, thank you very much. I have a question to Mrs. Bruno Meunier. You said that you help researchers, that you support researchers, that you try and manage for researchers to manage to have results quicker. So how do you manage to do that? Well, when I said quicker, more quickly, well, it's a bit short, of course, but what I meant is that it was about making researchers, well, making people aware that there's research is very long, it is in the long term, but depending on the different topics, there can be applications of their researches that could be implemented faster. And that's what we saw in the context of the response to the COVID crisis. There were researches, labs working on, for instance, the sequencing, the genome sequencing. So I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to tell you more about that. But anyway, there was a speeding up of the using of research that was already in progress. For instance, we're already in Haiti, but when the earthquake happened, we were working on the monitoring of the earthquake activities in this country, and then there was a speeding up of the researches in such a way that the researches in progress can be more quickly implemented. For instance, the techniques, it's a director of research that explained that to me, but the techniques implemented to immediately assess the fragility of the building struck by the earthquake, well, these techniques are going to be implemented quicker, even in labs, in order to be able to respond more quickly to such situations of an earthquake. So indeed, sometimes there's the long term when it comes to researches that we can't change, but sometimes also there are different stages in research that can be on which we can focus on for them to be implemented more quickly. So the RRD researchers are fully aware of that, and in the context of their researches, they always have in the back of their mind this will to take part to the sustainable solutions. Sadly, on the other hand, once again, I will say this word urgency. Everywhere there's an urgency to work all together, the researchers, the political decision makers, and obviously this is a huge challenge. And you try to attract to the RRD all the talents because everyone would want these talents, but the talents, in our view, are in the south. There are a number of programs to strengthen the research capacities in Africa. And I would like to say that beyond the capacity strengthening, there's already an excellency in Africa. It's still existing. It's already existing. And there are already solutions existing, at work with African researchers. And we try to federate ourselves with the EU, especially when it comes to a project called Arise, with a call for bid of researchers that are already confirmed in Africa. in order to boost, so to speak, existing labs. So there's a huge need to accelerate things. I can see a hand raising here and also online questions. Hello. Thank you very much for the quality of the presentations. Very appreciated. Now, I have a question to Mr. Kahn and Mrs. Bruno-Meunier, because I heard that Take for Sahel was developed based on a collaboration. It's implemented in Sahel, especially Mali. There are unsafe areas, though, and my humble view is that the local populations there would benefit a lot from technological training and so on, training on digital tools and so on. So I would like to know, have you managed to approach them? And if not, what is the kind of contributions that you are designing in order to be able to reach these kinds of populations? Very good question indeed. We've been working on some countries related where the safety environment, the security is very, very tricky. But this is a daily activity that we have, namely to assessing things there. The populations that are impacted by our projects, but of course we try to be to outreach these populations as much as possible. All the participants of the countries and the international participants would try to compare the means they have. But it is a difficulty. You know, these areas are indeed it's a difficulty for us. It's an issue. It's a huge challenge. But at the same time, Take for Sahel is also a means to take up these challenges. Indeed, a very good question. So there are safety rules that we have to meet. We have a security committee that will give its no-go. But the young people wouldn't wait if the training session is done in partnership with ODC, because in the case of Mali, the activities are done in the umbrella of Orange within Mali. People would leave their hometowns to go to Bamako to be trained, because they would consider that this is a unique opportunity for them to be trained. Also, what we try to do is capacity building. For instance, in Bobo Dioulasso, at the moment, we are supporting Sierra Leone, who is in Bobo Dioulasso. We can't go there as we would wish to, but there's an online training. We have a platform called Sample Online, and the training would be online, but the learners and the trainers are logged into a platform and they can work together. So you see, we try to protect ourselves as well. But remember that a young person, when he or she wants to learn, would go to the capital city, for instance, or where we are, because there are hundreds and hundreds of young persons that we train are not always people from Bamako or Ouagadougou. Indeed, we are supported by local actors. And also, of course, we have to comply with the safety rules. And if we can't go ourselves, then we would manage for someone to do so for us, through a local house, the creation of a local house, local venue for these people to be trained. From a local point of view, our embassies play a key role, especially when it comes to the networking of things and also the securing on site and of the projects, the people, and so on, and relation with the support of our partners on site. A last question, please. Hi everyone. Thank you very much for the quality of your presentations. Very relevant. I have two questions. I'm not sure whether I can ask them, the two of them. But the first one is to Mrs. Brunon, pardon. And I would like to ask you, how do you select the topic for research? Would you look into a specific context? Because earlier you told us about the collab on health, women and nutrition that was deployed in Niger and Mali.
Then how did you choose this topic of research on this particular subject? And the other question is addressed to Mr. Canet and Mrs. Françoise Cosson. We cannot speak of digitalization without speaking about the access to internet, above all in Africa. There is a very limited access in Africa in certain countries. Do you have a policy together with Orange which works in this sector? Do you have a cooperation policy to be able to reach those who don't have access to internet, which hinders them from working with digitalization? The session is over. Unfortunately, we're trying to grab 30 seconds. So we've got 30 seconds to answer. I can answer. It's going to be very quick on the Orange part. Among the activities of our foundation, we disconnect them totally from our network and business activities. So we're not at all, we don't work on connections for the old solutions. We offer, we go offline. So I don't refuse to answer, but in our foundation, we're very present in all countries. We work on the connection of all countries where we operate, but we at the foundation, we work with partnerships to bring electricity so that tablets can be loaded and to have electricity in our establishments. We cannot work with connection, which are the business sides of our group. It's connected from the business activity. I wanted to go discuss with Orange in Burkina Faso. They are autonomous about internet. So we try to negotiate with the different operators to get internet connection. We need to explain very clearly to the funders, otherwise it doesn't work. If we offer a training session, if we don't have an internet connection or electricity, so we try to negotiate, and we factor this into our budgets because there are huge amounts involved. So it's about negotiation. Thank you to all. Yes, we could go on with our exchanges after this workshop. Thank you to all the 4 panelists, and enjoy your meal.